Hey guys, how's it going? This is Lucia. So a couple of days ago, I was asking you guys on Instagram story and wondering if you wanted to know anything about my experiences here in the US. And I actually received a lot of questions and a lot of responses. So thank you guys so much for the interactions. So this month actually marks the end of the 10th year of my life here in the US. It sounds really crazy because I've never thought I was gonna go this far. But yeah, I'm gonna share the experiences with you guys. It's been a very long journey. It's been 10 years, so bear with me. I'm gonna cover as much as possible. If you have any other questions, please leave a comment below or tell me, DM me. I will try my best to answer all the questions you guys have. So let's get started. Before I jump into any questions, here's a little bit background about myself. I was born and raised in Tianjin, China. Tianjin is a city really close to Beijing. You can find that on a map. Actually, yes, you can. It's actually a really big city. I came to the United States when I was 15. That's back in 2009. So my first 4 years was in Texas. I went to high school in Dallas, Texas. I know, it was Dallas. And then I went to college in Santa Barbara, California. Yay, UCSB! Anyways, after I graduated from college, here I am in LA, settling here. I have a home, I have a boyfriend, you guys know Jason, and I'm trying to pursue a career in acting. That's just a little bit general background about what kind of happened in my life. Okay, we're gonna jump into the questions. Question number 1, why? Why did you come to America and why did you come to America? Okay, I don't know if this is gonna disappoint you guys, but it wasn't my choice. I was born and raised in a very traditional Chinese family, so the main male figure in our family, which is my father, he makes the decision for most of the people, including me, obviously. My dad was like, you know what, I'm gonna send you to America to study. So I didn't really have a choice. I was just sent out. I was a 15-year-old little girl, 14-year-old little girl. I was like, didn't know what was gonna happen in my life. And whatever my dad said was great, wonderful, I'm gonna listen to my dad. So I was off. It turns out to be the greatest decision ever. And I wanna say thank you, Dad, for making that decision for me. So next question, why did you come to America? I think US wasn't the only choice we had. US has always been the priority or the top of the list that my dad always wanted me to go. So he was just saying, you should try to go get a visa for the US first. So I went in on June 18th, 2009, and I was very, very lucky to be granted a visa to come to the United States, and my life has been on a ride ever since then, It's just been ups and downs, but without that visa, I wouldn't be here today. Without that visa, I wouldn't know what my life would be right now, if that makes sense. So one of the most asked question was language. So how do you become so fluent? I don't know if you guys notice, when I get really emotional, when I get really excited, when I'm not paying attention, I still make a lot of pronunciation mistakes and I still sound like a foreigner. I do. I believe I do. In terms of being fluent in English, I don't think it's really that, I'm making mistakes again. In terms of being fluent in English, I actually don't think it was difficult. I think after you being in an environment for a very long time and being in a very immersive environment where everyone was speaking to you in English, it is not that difficult to be fluent. Being fluent doesn't mean you have to be, speaking with no accent. Being fluent just means you can have a normal conversation with anybody around you without any problems, right? So being fluent isn't the hard part. But I think many people want to know why I can speak with very minimum Asian accent. I guess that's the way of describing it. See, I still make a lot of mistakes when it comes to grammar. And I still make a lot of mistakes when it comes to pronunciations too, But I think one of my takeaway or one of my learning experiences is that you have to really pay attention to what people are saying, and you have to really pay attention to people who are pronouncing things correctly. One method I've used was to, I'm still using it today, is to record yourself. So grab your phone, turn on your recorder, open it up, and find a book, find a news article, just read. Once you're done with the first paragraph, press replay and listen to yourself and hear it, you can hear the mistakes that you are making by yourself. It's very clear to you, oh, I didn't know I sound this way. I didn't know I speak this way. I didn't know, oh, this word doesn't sound right. Next time when you're talking, just make sure that you're like focusing on your accent. Eventually you'll get rid of it. It is a very long process and it's very difficult, and up to today, and I'm telling you at 100%, I don't think I have no accent. And I promise you that, okay? It is really difficult, it's hard, but you know what? It's a challenge and we'll overcome it. It'll be fine. Culture shock. It was definitely a huge change of my life. Everything was so different. But I think most of the culture shock happened the first year I was in Texas. In China, back in 2009, this is way back in the days, okay? They'll serve you pizza on a plate with a knife and a fork. And that was, in my mind, that was the right way of eating pizza. And I was thinking, oh, everyone eats pizza that way. You know, everybody eats pizza that way. Funny enough, my first meal in the United States was all-you-can-eat buffet. And I was like, oh my God, you can eat whatever you want to eat. That's amazing. And I saw this white male American holding a whole plate of pizza and just using his hand eating pizza. I was like, you eat pizza with your hands? Like, with your hands? Culture shock. I definitely had it. Just very interesting ones. So the next question is school challenges. I definitely had a very hard time at school because I never really attended a single ESL class. So in public school system or in any school system, I think there's an offering of English as a second language program where that's targeted towards people who don't really speak English. I just couldn't do it. And whether it's ego, whether it was pride, whatever it was, you know, and I just pushed myself into the normal courses. I started with normal courses, then I went into honors class, and then I was taking APs. I was taking AP English. It was a very difficult and it was not easy. Challenges are challenges. Challenges are meant to be there for you to overcome. I think that's one thing I've learned from my experiences here in the States. No matter how big of a challenge is, how thick of a book is, you just have to go through it page by page, word by word. That's all you have to do, one at a time. And I think I realized that, and it made my life so much easier than it was. I think the hardest class I found was in AP US History because I knew nothing about US history. I never had a course, not even a crash course about learning US history. Everything was starting over. But somehow I passed my AP exam with a 3 for A-push. So, yay for me. I was just like, oh, I passed it, yay! All the international students out there, do not deny yourself on your achievements because you're doing a wonderful job. You're in a different country, you're studying a course you know nothing about in a different language, except for math, okay? You know that, okay? You know that shit, right? But yeah, you're learning something new in a different language. You're doing amazing. This is awesome. Not I'm saying that you should be satisfied with it. You can always try harder. You can always work harder. But I'm just saying, do not deny yourself because of score. You should be proud of yourself. And I truly, truly believe that. Okay, so 加油. Racism. Were you ever discriminated or have you ever experienced racism in the United States? Yes, of course. Of course I have. Straight up racism, yes. But then there are also small other experiences where you kind of define it as racism, but you can also define it as ignorant, right? Everything that happened in Texas was, I would say people were just curious and people were making fun of me because they were ignorant. Not because they were just straight up racist towards you. I'd say people were just curious about like, oh, you know, China. Oh, China. You know, like it's just China. They know nothing about that country in a way sometimes. And they just kind of have this idea that they draw in their head. But straight up being, because the fact that I'm Asian or because of the fact that I'm Chinese, that I was discriminated against, definitely yes. So our next question is, why did you decide to stay? There were actually a lot of factors about me staying. I think the most important part was stuff that happened in family made me feel like, I can have my own life. But I just felt like, you know what, after being in the US for so long, I just got used to it. The life here, the people here, my boyfriend, this was my life. Going back to China was just a trip. But yeah, sure thing, I go back to visit my dad once in a while, but my life is here. Home is here. This is where I consider where my life is at. So because of that, I decided to stay. And on top of that, I wanted to give it a try because I've never really tried to do things I wanted to do in my life. I finally have the freedom to do things I want to do. So here I am, 3 years later. I'm still doing things I want to do. I'm still doing things I love doing. And it's getting better every day. It's been an amazing experience. I love it. And I am happy that I decided to stay. And that was one of the other, the best decision in my life. But yeah. Our next question is very deep. How have your ideologies and beliefs changed since you came to the States? Everything. Everything. So everything that I had in mind as a 15-year-old when I came to the States, they were just gone. They're just gone, I was like, what was I thinking, There was so much things happening in the past couple years that made my mindset very different. Let me give you an example. I used to think that everyone is forgivable, okay? As long as they are your family members, you should be able to forgive them no matter what they did. That's not the case anymore because if someone harms you, if someone hurts you, you should never forgive that person. No. You may let it go, but you can never forgive that person. No matter if it's a family, no matter if it's, or friend or whoever it is. And I used to think, even if it's your family member, you should just forgive them because they're family. No, that's not the case anymore. And I'm happy that my mindset is like this because of that, I was able to have the freedom that I have today. And because of that, I'm able to live a very happy life with no pressure, with no bad vibes and influence around me. So there you go. That's one of the things that changed quite a bit in my minds and my ideas, my ideologies, my beliefs. That's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and thank you so much for sitting there and listening to me blah, 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 blah. Anyways, every single person has their own unique case and every single one of you guys is very different. So I only speak for myself and the experiences that I had here in the United States. If you have any questions, please let me know and hope to see you guys sometime soon. Bye.